Good morning, I'm Jessica Lovell. Today we bring you an encore presentation of one of our very favorite programs. We'll still be live with you this summer, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then come September, we'll be back with our regularly scheduled programming. Until then, enjoy this encore presentation and make it a great day.
When they were taking him out, he goes, "I'm strong, right, Mom?" Yeah. You're the strongest person that I know.
He proved to be remarkably brave because this plan would not have worked if he was not as calm and as brave as he was.
Bravery with an injury like this. What's life like now for the boy whose survival made headlines worldwide? I'm Jessica Lovell. Welcome to the Morning Medical Update. Call it a miracle, call it extreme luck. 10-year-old Xavier Cunningham called it terrifying. And it's easy to see why. You may remember these images of a rotisserie barbecue skewer impaling his head. Xavier fell onto it face first when Yellow Jackets chased him out of a treehouse. He didn't just survive. He stayed strong and calm for half a day while doctors came up with the best plan for getting that thing out of there. Today, we look back as we ask, where are they now? And we welcome now 15-year-old Xavier Cunningham alongside his dad, Shannon Miller. And here with me in studio, the Dolph C. Simons Jr. Family Broadcast Studio is Dr. Koji Ebersol, endovascular neurosurgeon here at the University of Kansas Health System and lead surgeon for Xavier's case. Always good to see them again, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's great.
We love reuniting you with these patients because I know life goes on for everyone, but to kind of have that full circle moment where you can be together again is so fantastic. And Xavier, you were 10 years old back then. You're 15 now. When you look back at this accident now and hear about it and talk to mom and dad about it, what do you make of it? What do you tell people?
Well, I tell them what happened. Mostly.
And Shannon, Dad, same question. When you think about it, when you look back, 5 years is a long. It probably feels like yesterday, but it also feels like a long time ago. Tell us what you made it of, you and your wife.
Well, I mean, it was just a pretty miraculous experience to live through. We certainly, it's a paradigm shift as a parent. Now you perceive everything as incredibly valuable. The small moments now become huge. And you just grow to appreciate every second you have with your kids,
Absolutely. It is a lesson no one really wants to have to learn, but you make the best of it. You have the skewer there with you. I want you to show it to us. It's quite an interesting souvenir from a very interesting day. Tell us about it. Why is it so important for you to keep it around?
It symbolizes I don't even know.
Yeah.
It becomes a memento of an occasion in which, our life was threatened and our entire world came crashing down. But it becomes a symbol of God's love and care for us as a family, and a symbol of our community that rallied around us and helped us rebound from this horrible event.
Yeah, they sure did. You had a lot of support, Dr. Ebersol, of course, being one of them. Again, I said we love reuniting you with these miracle patients, Dr. Ebersol, but how often do you think of this particular case? We know it got a lot of national attention, worldwide attention. I know this is just another day in the office for you, but how often do you think about it?
To be honest, I think about it a lot. What I liked about it is that we had to leverage the expertise of so many different elements, so many different people to try to come together to solve a problem that you're not going to read about in a textbook. We had to extrapolate and build on our experience from the past to try to come up with a plan for an unprecedented situation. I think about it a lot.
I want to talk more about that because we think, okay, Xavier was brought here from Children's Mercy. We know that happens. People get transferred here a lot for that higher level of care for you and your team. I'm thinking from an outsider or maybe even a parent, get that thing out of his head. tell us what happened. Explain why it was important that you kept him steady. He stayed calm, which was a big part of the plan, so he helped out there. But that he came in the middle of the night, and you kind of wanted to wait for the sun to rise where you could get all the team in here to really help with this case. Explain all that.
Yeah, well, I will tell you, I'm not sure if you can quite appreciate from the video there, but that thing is very impressive. It's very strong, heavy, robust, sturdy. And it was sticking out a half a foot from the front of his cheek. It was extremely striking. Everybody who immediately saw it has to take a step back. So we were probably the third hospital that he visited before we could start to generate a plan about what to do. But each step along the way, teams involved and understanding the gravity of the situation. The key to us was he was wide awake. His brain was preserved. He was functioning just fine. That was miraculous. We needed to preserve that miracle as the device was removed. We needed to come up with a plan that would be safe to preserve the miracle that was taking place in front of our eyes.
How'd you keep that steady? And if we can, do we have the image of it, the image of it coming out of Xavier's head? There it is. So how did it helped that he was awake and you could communicate with him? How do you work to figure out a great plan, but also keep a 10-year-old calm?
Yeah.
And how did you keep that secure?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, by the time he got to KU, it was around midnight, to my recollection, and it would not be safe to try to remove this thing in the middle of the night. We needed all of our resources on hand, everybody on their A game, after a reasonable night of rest. You can't be sleepy-eyed and try to work on something this sophisticated. So we needed to buy some time. What I thought would be the most reasonable thing to do would be to use the breathing tube and put Xavier to sleep so he wouldn't have to be thinking about this thing projected here. But it turns out that the teams that would be able to place the breathing tube were extremely concerned that that degree of manipulation would potentially change our outlook and force our hand there. So we were stuck in a situation where we either do this delicate thing in the middle of the night, or preferably Xavier work with us and hold steady and be brave until the morning comes, and we by then would have a plan together with the multidisciplinary team all working at the same time.
Xavier, did you feel pain? Do you remember how you felt?
I didn't feel anything.
One thing, as we've been talking about, that stood out to our staff here and your parents, Dr. Ebersol, was that, again, you were able to stay so calm with a metal skewer sticking out of your face. Here's what your mom and Dr. Ebersol said back then.
He got himself in the car. We got to the ER. He opened the door, got out, and my side was locked, and I was trying to think, why can't I get out? Okay, unlock the door. And he's like, come on, Mom, we gotta go. I go, I'm coming, baby, I'm coming.
If he forced our hand because he was too agitated and wanted to pull the device, we would have had to try to do this in the middle of the night, and I don't think it would have turned out as well because the forethought and the planning would not have been able to be in place. So his ability to be calm in a very dramatic situation is what helped us to finish the task.
Xavier, do you remember telling yourself to stay calm? Was it the staff around you, or did it just come naturally for you?
Honestly, it was just like, I felt very comforted having like all the doctors around me, having my family around me and stuff. And so I guess it sort of just came natural from that.
Well, you were a big part of that plan. Without your calm demeanor, Dr. Ebersol wouldn't have been able to do and work his magic. So what I think instinctually a lot of us would have gone to touch it and pull that out of our head back at the house when this all happened, not even at the hospital, but when this happened. Why didn't you grab it? What gave you that insight to know I need to keep this where it is?
Well, it was like a month prior. I was a huge Marvel fan, and we had gone to see the Black Panther movie. And at the end, Killmonger he removed the shrapnel, I think, shrapnel from his chest, and then he just immediately collapsed over.
Okay, so Black Panther movie, you literally thought of that in all of this chaos. You pushed the fear aside and thought, what would this character do?
Pretty much, as a 10-year-old
Pretty much.
boy.
Dad would. You love that.
There you
like
go.
that, right?
Perfect.
Using what he's learned, okay? Dad, when you hear that, what did you make of that when you said that he remembered something? We always hope that our kids see something good or positive or hear some good advice and they remember it at the perfect moment. How did it feel to know that your kid jumped in and took the reins like that and knew what to do?
We were pretty relieved. I remember seeing the movie with him, and he was really touched by that moment in the movie. It's like the grand finale of the film, as he passes on. And we had a discussion in the car on the way back home from the movie theater. And so, yeah, when he says, well, I saw Black Panther, I knew exactly what to do. I was like, oh, no. But hey.
We love that story here. That's perfection. I want to go back and just a couple more questions for Dr. Ebersol about the skewer and how close it came to Xavier's arteries. How close was it? I mean, not a lot of room for error.
Yeah, no, it was immediately adjacent to the major arteries of the neck, which obviously proceed to supply the brain. And you got to remember, this thing is designed to hold barbecue and steaks. How are we going to get this thing out safely and not traumatize the tissues? That was all of our concern. It was immediately adjacent, you see it on that picture there, to the carotid artery. You need that thing.
You need that thing. Okay, I want to show one more time. I want to show when you're actually pulling it out. This is what this team all comes together. Hours have been put into this moment. Walk us through it.
Well, the key was making sure that we don't traumatize those critical vessels on the way out, because you see that the skewer has a barb on the end because it's designed to hold steaks. So we wanted to do it under direct visualization here with X-ray, with a number of personnel that were in place in case we induce an injury or uncork bleeding, for example. So we had our ENT team, Dr. Kakarala, he was there prepared to open it if we needed. All of it needed to be done perfectly under direct visualization, monitoring your brain to make sure it was safe.
All right, Xavier, you were in and out of here pretty quickly, only a couple of days in the hospital. You still had a huge impact on our staff, a story and a patient they will never forget. Here's a clip from the day you left here.
Now you are leaving, you are going home today. Hey now, COVID media, just not in this place. Time to play some football, eat some quesadillas, and pet your dog. Hey now, you are leaving, and you made it through. Hey now, wish you good luck from your friends at KU.
That's a pretty nice smile. How was it to shake his hand and to know he was going home healthy back to his parents?
Oh, that was fantastic. It's unbelievable. That's what we all prepare for, something like that, so that we're ready when the moment comes to help someone have a great day.
Shannon, it seems like the nurses, doctors, and the staff, they really made a connection with your kid.
Yeah, definitely. Those are relationships and experiences that Xavier and us as a family, we're just going to treasure those forever. It's so nice to be when you're in a position of emergency and life is on the line, to have such great people taking care of our kids.
Xavier, what's life like now? Are you still playing football? What's going on with you? Get us up to speed.
So I started high school, and I'm part of the marching band. I haven't played football since the accident, but I plan to again this season, or next season, I guess.
What do you think you want to do after high school? You've been through quite a lot. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that, and I want to be an actor.
Ooh, I like that. I have an older son who's an actor. I'll hook you up. We'll talk. Got it? All right, call me, text me. Shannon, how's life for you and your wife, Gabby?
What was that question? I'm sorry.
What is life like for you and your wife?
Well, it's changed drastically. I mean, it kind of recalibrated everything and kind of put different things in different priority slots. Certainly makes you cherish all the small things. I mean, we both realized that there was a big gap in our life that needed to be filled, and we filled out with ministry opportunities. Just because while we were there at the hospital, we realized that here we were with our son in an emergency situation, and we were supported by all these incredible people. But, across the hall was another kid, and he didn't have that support system. And so that really changed the way we look at everything. We've kind of recalibrated our lives to focus on that ministry of supporting help to those who are hurting through our local church and just through ministry in general.
You're doing a lot of good stuff. We love to hear that. Paying it forward. If you have any comments or questions for Xavier, Shannon, or Dr. Ebersole, perfect time right now to go on to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or you can email us. They're all right there on your screen. We'll get to those questions in just a moment. All right, Doc Hawk, headline for you this morning. U.S. government going to stop buying COVID vaccines directly from companies like Pfizer and Moderna. That, of course, means no longer free. In most cases, your insurance company will be picking up that cost. But not everyone has insurance, as we know. And at the same time, the vaccine companies have talked about quadrupling the price of the vaccine sometime in this year. Do you think this will end up reducing vaccination rates? What do you think the effect of this will be?
It's hard to say right now. The unfortunate thing is that you brought up vaccination rates. Booster vaccination rates are already at a very low rate anyways. And so that is an issue. Because of that, we know the government still has their supply of boosters that they had bought that have not been taken up. So really until that supply dwindles or expires, there still will be plenty of booster vaccines overall. But yeah, I think moving forward now, this vaccine is going to be placed in the category of other recommended vaccines. So most insurance companies or programs should pick up the cost of that, which is good. But overall, we know that there is just overall low uptake of the booster vaccines. And unfortunately, I think it speaks to broader terms as well. I think there's just a lower than optimal uptake of other recommended vaccines, especially those childhood vaccines, which are so vitally important in protecting children, but also other people in the home from those diseases, which we really don't see a lot of here in the United States right now since we've had these programs in place. So it's vitally important to stay up on those recommended doses and vaccines. But moving forward, I would encourage you to talk to your insurance companies and talk to your insurance providers or any other programs that you are involved with that will help cover the costs of those vaccines.
Got a present for you while you were gone last week. I got my bivalent booster.
Yeah, that's
a little
good.
shot in the arm. It hurt. I had a little headache, but I survived. I made it. So, all right, yes, take your advice. Get your vaccines. Get up to date. Stay up to date. All right, any reporter questions on the line today? Okay, let's get to some community questions. Joellen wants to know, and we kind of talked about it earlier on, but what time of day did Xavier fall and when was it removed? Shannon, Xavier, when did the fall happen?
Oh, wow. It was early. Yeah, early afternoon, so 2 o'clock. Yeah.
About 2 o'clock. Okay, this horrific accident happens. Dr. Ebersole, by the time he gets to you, what time is it? And by the time it's out?
Yeah, it was middle of the night, around midnight, I think, when he was at KU. So then we built the plan for the following morning, and the plan required him to be put to sleep safely, and then an operation was performed in the neck to expose the vessels in case there was tremendous bleeding, and then after that we worked to take the device out. So it was probably by around 11 or noon the next morning that the device was physically removed.
Almost 24 hours.
I agree.
When did you get sleep? Did you sleep?
I did sleep.
Do you sleep?
That is
When do
part
you
of
sleep?
the job. I think you train yourself that you know you have to be ready the next day, and you're not going to be ready if you don't get rest.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure you're getting lots of rest. Kathy says, what a miracle. We all agree. Kathy wants to know what the recovery was like for you, Xavier. Anything specific that you had to do or not do?
No, not really.
Shannon?
Yeah,
Dad, what did you, were you like handling him really carefully and making sure he was like, you know, wrapping him in bubble wrap? What were you doing?
Yeah, we tried to. I don't know if you've ever tried to wrap a 10-year-old in bubble wrap. It doesn't work.
Not lately.
We did our best. But really, the recovery was pretty quick. And before you know it, he's out there playing with sharp objects again. You know, what do you do, right?
Yeah, what do you do? I get it. Stuart wants to know, Xavier, do you ever Google yourself?
Oh, yeah.
And what do you find? And then another question was, what do you, I mean, people must ask you, so what do you tell them about this whole international miracle?
Well, if you look up Missouri meat skewer, you get a few images of me and a lot more images of meat skewers with meat on them. From a very barbecue place. And when I tell people, I just tell people what happens, like from what I remember, my perspective of it all.
It's fascinating. Cindy wants to know, she asked what you wanted to do when you get older. You said be an actor. I was thinking you were going to be an endovascular neurosurgeon.
You know, I thought about it, yeah.
You thought about it for how long? Not long?
It was like 2 months. I started looking into like things like to be a doctor and stuff. And then I was like, you know, neurosurgeons saved my life, so I might as well like look into that. So I did for a while. And then I just realized it wasn't really what I wanted to do.
Leave it up to Dr. Ebersol to do all that, right? That's okay. But you do need something to fall back on. That's my mothering advice. You have to have something to fall back on if you're going to be an actor. That's what I tell my kid. So you could fall back on being a doctor. Okay? There you go. Okay, I want to know, Alexis wants to know what instrument you play in the marching band.
So next marching season, hopefully I will be on tenor drums. But the last one that just got over with, I was on the 5th bass drum, the biggest one.
Nice. Very well-rounded kid. But no football anymore. Is that doctor's orders?
No.
You're free to do it.
Okay. Okay, I want to ask Dr. Ebersol one last question. Have you ever seen anything like this? I think I already know your answer, but
Yeah.
you do a lot of very interesting procedures.
Yeah.
But this one's quite unique.
I agree. This is very striking. You can't look at that X-ray and not be impressed. That's why it gathers so much attention. You can't expect to survive an event like that. So that was very striking. But since then, we have seen other impressive cases. So our experience working with Xavier helped us to manage those other situations.
I want to get final thoughts from our guests. And Shannon and Xavier, I'm going to start with you. Just kick us off, Xavier. Final thoughts?
I got nothing.
I knew that was coming. You're 15. I knew you were going to say, I got nothing. And that's totally acceptable. Shannon, take it away then.
Well, you know, my final thoughts are just, it's amazing where God will take us and where your life will end up, what paths you end up stumbling down. But, you know, we're all on the verge of a miracle just standing here. And that's the truth I would walk away with this from.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for sharing your story, your whole family's story. We appreciate you both. Tell your mother hello and stay in touch with us, okay? Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Dr. Ebersol, final thoughts or final message to Xavier?
Well, I'll tell you what, Xavier, your story inspires people every day. Just a week ago, I was working with my medical students, and one of them told me the reason that they went into this specific field is because they saw your story on the news 5 years ago. He's going to be a great doctor.
That's a big smile right there.
There you go.
Anything else you want us to know just about anything? Anything I haven't asked you? Final thoughts? Anything else?
You know what? I think it's exactly right. You can't wrap a 10-year-old in bubble wrap, and I've got a 10-year-old myself. They're going to go out into the field and they're going to find things and get in trouble. You just got to love them.
Gotta love them. Good advice. Dr. Hawkinson, your final thoughts today.
Yeah, I mean, again, such a great story, and just another culmination of what we always hear Dr. Stites talk about with faith, hope, and of course science, all bringing this together. We've heard this story as we've moved through this time today, and just elements of all that. And it's, again, this is the right place to be. You have physicians, care teams, nurses who all care, working towards one goal, and that is getting you well and getting you back home.
Thanks to all of you for being with us today.
Subscribe to our morning medical update and Open Mics with Dr. Stites podcast. Now, everywhere podcasts are available.